Ua mau ke au ka aina I ka pono Hawaii Malama ia Na iwi Pulama ia Na kua
Aloha mai kako. Aloha. If you can't hear in the back, feel free. You okay, Auntie Nani? You can hear. You good? Okay. I can talk louder or you can move up, either one. My name is Trisha Kehaulani Watson Sproat. I'm on Kauai, so I use the Sproat. I am from the Moku o Kakuhihewa, so I'm from Oahu. So thank you very much for the invitation to be here tonight. I'm just going to talk briefly, very briefly, about Na'i Aupuni and the history. So, and you're going to be my pointer and my clicker. Excellent. Okay. So, okay, go to the first one. So this is my favorite quote from the vast volumes of literature and knowledge that our kupuna left for us. He Aupuni pala pala ko'u. Mine is an educated kingdom. So Kamehameha III is the person who gives us this quote, and it was in reference to the fact that the Native Hawaiian kingdom and the Native Hawaiian people were among the most literate in the world. They were the most educated in the world, they were the most literate in the world, and that was something he really, really prided himself on, that the kingdom he ran was one that was informed and engaged and highly educated. So I just wanted to start with that. So really, that has been the antithesis of what Na'i Aupuni has offered us. You know, whereas once we really were a very, despite not having Google and Facebook and all these things, all people throughout the kingdom, our Aupuni was very knowledgeable about what was happening. Today, nobody really knows what's going on. I think that's why we're all here. So really, Na'i Aupuni has its origins back in the Native Hawaiian Royal Commission. The Native Hawaiian Royal Commission begins in 2011. The state legislature, shortly after Governor Abercrombie is elected into office, very quickly passes a law to create the Native Hawaiian Royal Commission. The purpose of this chapter is to provide for and to implement the recognition of Native Hawaiian peoples, and basically lays out a process that says we're going to put together a roll. It is administered by the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, but it is a separate body. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs gives them multiple millions of dollars with which to put together this role for the purpose of moving forward self-governance. Next. So this is directly from their website and one of their press releases. Na'ioluwalu, which is what the role becomes known as, launches online registry for Native Hawaiians. So this is from July 20th, 2012. Kana'ioluwalu runs through July 19th, 2013 with a goal to register 200,000 Native Hawaiians. So this is their goal when they set out. They're gonna register 200,000 Hawaiians into this process. Next. By that deadline, they've registered only 19,000. So by and large, people don't sign up. Typically, people don't sign up. That should kind of be a sign that something is wrong, but they are not deterred. Next. One of the first things they do after this is not working is they place a public notice in the Kawaiola. This is the newspaper that gets sent to the vast majority of Native Hawaiians and other public locations throughout the state. I will read this to you. Native Hawaiians who choose not to be included on the official roll risk waiving their right and the right of their children and descendants to be legally and politically acknowledged as Native Hawaiians and to participate in a future convention to reorganize the Hawaiian nation, and as a result may also be excluded from being granted rights of inclusion, citizenship, rights of participation, voting, and rights to potential benefits that may come from citizenship. land use rights, monetary payments, scholarships, etc. This shows up in the OHA newspaper, and all of us kind of go, whoa. We find this totally unacceptable. Because whereas this process was supposed to be a process that was transparent and inclusive, we very, very quickly see that this is not about inclusion, but about exclusion. It's about keeping Hawaiians out. The idea that somehow we had to enroll to be acknowledged as Native Hawaiians struck many of us as completely insane. Nor was it ever the purpose of Act 195 to determine who would and would not be Hawaiian in the future. Next. The other thing they do that is of critical importance is they pass another law. They passed Act 77. So because nobody signs up for Kana'i'oluwalu, this second law takes 3 separate registries. So Operation Ohana, the Hawaiian Registry, and Kauinoa, and forcibly adds them to the Kana'i'oluwalu list. Now, the problem here is, say, for example, you wanted to go to college and you needed to apply to OHA for a scholarship. They would require you to sign up on one of these registries. So they were taking people who had registered in a registry that had nothing to do with nation building or support for Kana'i'oluwalu, and now forcing them without their knowledge or their consent into this other registry. So no prior notice is given to any of the people from these other 3 registries. They don't ask anybody's permission. And rather than sending out a notice to everybody that says, we're going to do this, do you consent to be part of it? They don't do that. They add everybody and then instead require people to go search if they are on this new steroids registry or not, and then figure out how to get themselves off it. Next. So now they have this list on steroids. That is the combination of 4 different lists. The vast majority of whom never consented, never knew, and don't even know they're on it at this point. In 2004, they then realized, because of the Rice v. Cayetano decision in 2000, it cannot be a state-run election for anything. What they do is they need to form an entity that is not within the state to run elections, to move all of this forward. They first go to a series, the ali'i organizations. They get together the Royal Benevolent Societies, so Ahahui Ka'ahumanu, Royal Order of Kamehameha, the Ali'i Trust, so like Lunalilo Homes, and the civic clubs, and they ask them to enter into a joint venture, a legally binding agreement to form the entity to move all of this forward. The groups do not consent. Next. So this is from a media article. According to OHA CEO Kamana'opono Crab, the ali'i organizations held meetings during the summer of 2014 to discuss whether they felt they could take on the responsibility of facilitating a nation-building process. Quote, "Unfortunately, we did not get commitments from many ali'i trusts," said Crab. Quote, "We were left with just a few organizations willing to participate." So they didn't sign on. They weren't willing to take on this responsibility. Again, at this point, you would have thought that all these long-standing member organizations being unwilling to come together would have given OHA pause, but no. Next. They move forward. They get one of their longtime federal recognition allies, Bill Meheula, to form a new entity in December 2014. So he alone, and as of October 24th, when I wrote an article for Civil Beat, he was still the only person listed with legal authority on Na'i Aupuni. He forms this organization, Na'i Aupuni. Na'i Aupuni, despite being formed for the first time in December, and I don't know how many of you have tried to apply for grants to OHA and tried and failed and know it's hard, OHA gives them a grant for $2.5 million in April to run this process. They don't have a GET license. They're not registered with the Attorney General's office. They are not recognized as a 501c3 by the IRS. Nonetheless, OHA hands them over $2.5 million of Hawaiian beneficiary monies to run this process. Next. Next thing you know, elections are announced. There is no explanation as to the rhyme or reason, why they've chosen to do it this way, the timeline, or anything. There are no election rules, none. There are no regulations related to the election. So you could have Donald Trump, say there's a Hawaiian Donald Trump, I don't know who that would be, but somebody come in and spend all that money, and that's fine. So nothing, there's no oversight, there's no indicator that any of this is going to be audited or watched, right? So when you vote here, there's a county clerk who makes sure the process is fair and according to regulations. There's none of that in place for these elections. The list, when there was an article that came out in Indian Country today that was done by Randy Aki and Noelani Arista, two very well-regarded professors, that talk about the fact that hundreds of deceased Native Hawaiians are on the list, despite the fact that it's supposed to be a certified list. So they run an algorithm that shows that they just run it against public records. So none of this is really rocket science, that deceased people from all the way back from 2010 are on this list before Act 195 is even passed. So there's all sorts of problems. Candidates are rejected without explanation. They simply don't show up on the ballots. If any of you are on this, you'll know that some candidates show up twice on the ballot. There's been constant problems, but again, no regulations, no rules, no oversight. All of this just continues to raise the concern of the community. They say neutrality, but the reality is what we see is a path towards federal recognition. So despite overwhelming opposition, despite these DOI community meetings where thousands of Hawaiians show up across the state saying we don't want this path forward, OHA, if you look at the advanced rulemaking, so this is all online, OHA supports it moving forward, and in fact, asks for it to be expedited. So when people say, well, it's just coincidence, it came out quickly, that's not true. OHA, in their written testimony, asked for the rule to be pushed out quickly, which is the proposed rule we have now. So now we have, in addition to Aupuni, a DOI rule that is moving forward the process for Native Hawaiians obtaining federal recognition. So there's a lot of misinformation about, people saying, well, it's not going to matter, and it's going to get us all this land, and it's going to be okay. It doesn't impact those moving forward with independence. That's simply untrue. So this is directly out of the Federal Register. I just took screenshots, so none of this is. You can just go look it up on the Federal Register. On the left, regarding land. So people keep saying, we have to do this. We need to get land. We're going to get land out of this. The federal rule, the language in the Federal Register that has been published and is out for public comment now. So these are some of the forms you can comment on here tonight. I'll read it. Section 50.44F makes clear that reestablishment of the formal government-to-government relationship will not affect title, jurisdiction, or status of federal lands and property in Hawaii. This provision does not affect lands owned by the state of Hawaii or provisions of state law. CEG, and they reference Kehaulani. So even Kehaulani doesn't come back under this. So when people say, oh, this is our this is our way forward, we gotta move forward, this is how we negotiate, it's in black and white that it cuts off really important avenues of restoring our rights to federal lands or lands that are in control of the state. And it's in the rule. You can go look at it in the Federal Register. On the right-hand side, section 50.43. What does it mean for the secretary to grant a request? If you go to the bottom, so you can read the whole thing. I'll read the whole thing. When a decision granting a request takes effect, the requester will immediately be identified as the Native Hawaiian governing entity, or the official name. The special political and trust relationship between the United States and the Native Hawaiian community will be reaffirmed, and a formal government-to-government relationship will be established with the Native Hawaiian governing entity as the sole representative sovereign government of the Native Hawaiian community. So when they say, we can go do this, but you guys can go do your thing and still negotiate with the feds, that's not true. That's not what this rule says. It says there will be only one, and that's it. Next. What is further incredibly problematic is that only 30,000 Hawaiians are required for this to take effect. 30,000. There are over 524,000 Native Hawaiians identified in the last census. That means 5.5% of the total population. So Shane talked about 80% getting left out. We're talking potentially 95% of Native Hawaiians being left out. And that's it, 30,000. And that's not that hard. So additionally, in the rules, and this goes back to OHA's notice to us all, the Hawaiian tribe, and it's referred to as a tribe, would have the authority to exclude non-enrolled Hawaiians from benefits, including education and health programs. Next.
5 minutes.
So really, we gain nothing and we can lose everything. I also want to mention, simply because we have our Apache brother here, the rule is also very clear that this new entity comes under the plenary powers of Congress. It's also another part of the rule. I just didn't put it up there. And you can feel free to speak more about this. But in 2014, Congress took away significant sacred lands from the Apache. And I hope you do speak a little bit more about that. Because people think this is a way to secure our land rights. As many of us know, there really is significant jeopardy to putting our trust resources in the hands of a government that really has never taken very good care of us, let's be real. So I just wanted to mention that because that's last year. You know, this idea that the federal government it's all okay now, Obama because he's from here, last year, over, 2,400 acres of land, of some of them, 1,400 acres of some of their most sacred sites, taken away by an act of Congress. So people say there isn't a way forward. There absolutely is. Again, he Aupuni pala pala, education, education, education. People need to know what's going on. And that's why I'm so grateful that you folks are here, that you braved the weather, that we were invited to come. I think there needed to have been a referendum first. Why are we moving straight into a con when nobody asked us if this is the direction we wanted to go in? I think because they knew the answer would be overwhelmingly no. So, you know, there needed to be something that says, is this the direction people even want to move in? Free, prior, and informed consent. People do not know what's going on. People do not know this history. People have not seen the language, yet this thing is being pushed forward at a pace that is just simply unreasonable. And oversight, regulations. You know, if they tried to hold an election anywhere else with no regulations, no rules, no nothing, people would go crazy. So I don't know why there is this substandard for really one of the most critical things to ever happen to the Hawaiian community. Next. So I just wanted to leave you with this. I feel very, very strongly that our kupuna wrote down everything and they were literate and they left us this tremendous cachet of information in the Hawaiian language newspapers because they were trying to make sure we didn't make the same mistakes again. So this is from King Kalakaua in 1887. The natives are slowly sinking under the restraints and burdens of their surroundings and will in time succumb to social and political conditions foreign to their natures and poisonous to their blood. And then, if not before, and no human effort can shape it otherwise, the Hawaiian Islands, with the echoes of their songs and the sweets of their green fields, will pass into the political, as they are now firmly within the commercial system of the great American Republic. We are at that crossroads. And this is our chance to stand up and say, we are not going to let this happen. So thank you very much. That's everything I have. Thank you.